Tonight, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced the extension of several COVID-19 containment measures and is asking Jamaicans to bear with the government as it seeks to keep a lid on infections and hospitalizations.
The curfew hours for the weekend will be modified for the next 4 weekends. The curfew will now begin on 6 p.m. on Saturday and at 2 p.m. on Sunday. On Monday the 24th of May 2021, there will be an all-day curfew, so that will be a no-movement day.
The country recorded 107 new COVID-19 cases and 1 death in the last 24 hours, taking the total of cases to 46,194 and the death toll to 794. Still tonight, the Hanover Municipal Corporation yesterday demolished what it says were illegally constructed buildings in the car park.
We do not allow concrete structure to be constructed because that is a permanent structure and is a government property. So hence the building was demolished.
And the Rotary Club of Montego Bay presented high-quality tablets to needy students earlier today.
The Rotary Club of Montego Bay has made it our responsibility to ensuring that no student is left behind in accessing education.
Good evening. The island recorded 107 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours, as well as 1 death, taking the total of COVID-19 cases now to 46,194, of which 23,278 are currently active. The death toll is now at 794. The latest death is of a 94-year-old woman from St. Elizabeth. The genders of 2 cases are currently under investigation. The new cases, that includes 51 females and 54 males, were recorded in Clarendon with 6 cases. Hanover recorded 1 case. Kingston and St. Andrew recorded 23 cases. Manchester, 3 cases. Portland recorded 1 case. St. Anne, 10 cases. St. Catherine recorded 30 cases, St. Elizabeth 2 cases, St. James 3 cases, St. Mary 7, St. Thomas 11 cases, while Westmoreland recorded 10 cases. In the meantime, 133 patients have recovered from the virus, taking the total of recovered persons now to 21,779. In other news tonight, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced minor changes to some measures, including the weekend curfew times, while extending the majority of the measures under the Disaster Risk Management Act. Speaking in Parliament yesterday, the Prime Minister noted that the measures will be in place for the next 4 weeks and will expire on June 2, 2021.
The existing measures will largely be extended for a 4-week period until the 2nd of June 2021. We have made some changes, some adjustments, because of some imperatives which we can't escape. So, Madam Speaker, curfew hours. The curfew hours for weekdays, Monday to Friday, will remain at 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. And they will end, of course, on the 3rd of June at 5 a.m. So the normal curfew hours, which would start on 8 p.m. on a weekday, ending 5 a.m. on the following day, this will go on until the 3rd of June at 5 a.m. The curfew hours for the weekend will be modified for the next 4 weekends. The curfew will now begin on 6 p.m. on Saturday and at 2 p.m. on Sunday, and end, of course, at 5 a.m. the following day. So the weekend curfews, Madam Speaker, for the next 4 weeks, the next 4 weekends, the weekend curfew will start at 6 p.m. on a Saturday and end 5 a.m. on the following Sunday. It will begin again at 2 p.m. on the Sunday and end on 5 a.m. on the following Monday. And this will go on for the next 4 weekends.
Prime Minister Holness also explained that there will be a total lockdown for the upcoming Labor Day holiday, Monday, May 24.
For Labor Day, Madam Speaker, which is celebrated on the 24th of May, but the official date would have been the 23rd, but because the 23rd is a Sunday, the Labor Day would be celebrated on the day following. So on Monday, the 24th of May 2021, there will be an all-day curfew. So that will be a no-movement day. Therefore, on Sunday, May 23rd, the curfew will begin at 2 p.m. and it will go right through Monday and end at 5 a.m. on Tuesday, the 25th of May. The logic behind this, Madam Speaker, just for those who are wondering why we're doing this, this is really a compensatory measure. Because, Madam Speaker, we will have to send our children back to school in order that they are able to do the exams, the exit exams. So, Madam Speaker, the dates, and we know that once this movement happens, you may have increased numbers. So we are compensating by doing this lockdown almost preemptively.
The 14-day quarantine requirement remains in effect for travelers to Jamaica. However, Trinidad has been added to the list of countries from which travel is banned, while the United Kingdom has been removed from the banned list. The public gathering limit remains at 10 individuals, while no more than 30 persons may attend church services. The work-from-home order for public sector workers has also been extended, and as such, the private sector is urged to follow the order and allow work from home. The cap on weddings remains at 15 persons. Prime Minister Holness, while announcing the extension of several COVID-19 containment measures, beseeched Jamaicans to bear with the government as it seeks to keep a lid on infections and hospitalizations.
The data clearly shows that tighter measures implemented in the last week of February 2021 to now have been very successful in slowing the spread of the virus. And while our hospitalizations are now below our capacity, we are not yet out of the danger zone. The Ministry of Health recommends, Madam Speaker, that we keep the measures that we have for at least 3 incubation cycles, meaning for at least the next 6 weeks. So once we are within this green zone, which we are not quite, we are just hovering there, we are expecting that within the next 6 weeks, we should be well within that green zone, and then we can consider certain measures for relaxation. So, Madam Speaker, I want to prepare the nation that though we are having good news, that we are not going to make the error of having any general opening up, because that could be dangerous. Indeed, it could spell disaster. So I'm asking the nation to bear with us for another 6 weeks. I know it's rough. We're getting the calls, people losing their houses, mortgages coming due, the business sector, particularly the quick service sector, the fast food, the restaurants, they are complaining, not to mention the entertainment industry, they are complaining. the sports industry. We know. But we also know what could happen if we don't take the action that we are doing now.
In the meantime, the Prime Minister has announced that students poised to sit a range of exit and external examinations are set to return to school for face-to-face engagement on May 10.
Based on the registration data, approximately 39,000 students are registered to do the PEP ability test for grade 6, which is scheduled for May 26, 2021. 13,951 students in the public schools and 101 private candidates are registered to do CAPE. 45,174 students in the public schools and 1,162 private candidates are registered to sit CSEC. These exams are scheduled for June 14th to July 16th, 2021, with orals and practicals scheduled to commence June 1st, 2021. 24,000 students are registered for City and Guilds exams, and this exam is scheduled for August 10 to 11, 2021, and 16,000 students are registered to sit the NCTVET exams scheduled for June 7 to 11, 2021. Face-to-face engagement for students preparing for the 2021 sitting of the exit examination constitutes a timely and necessary intervention to better enable students to adequately prepare. The Cabinet has therefore given approval for the resumption of face-to-face instruction as of Monday, May 10, 2021, for those students sitting the PEP grade 6 ability test and those in grades 11 to 13 to sit the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate CSEC and the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination CAPE, the City and Guilds, and the National Vocational Qualifications, or NVQJs.
The Prime Minister underscored that only a subset of the cohort in each school will be permitted to attend in person.
A whole-day rotation approach based on resources available, that would be space and staffing at schools, is going to be implemented commencing May 10, 2021. And this is to facilitate the inclusion of face-to-face engagements for students sitting the 2021 exit exams. This means that only a subset of each cohort of students will be at school each day while others work remotely. So, Madam Speaker, we're not proposing that we will have the entire cohort of exam students coming to school all at once. So they will be given a schedule and they will be able to be rotated in. So the school should be able to utilize all its classroom spaces, and the teachers who are there would have to be scheduled in order to deal with them. So the schools, Madam Speaker, will be required to be involved in a very high-level logistics and planning exercise to ensure that they can comply with the health protocols that are going to be established. But this is also, Madam Speaker, to ensure that we don't have a situation where we have crowding on public transportation by our school children. So we are going to be scheduling it as such that students are able to travel without necessarily having to be crowded into public transportation. That was part of the consideration.
He says provisions have been made through regional education offices for the disbursement of grants for equipment and material needed for sanitization.
Systems are in place for the teachers involved in face-to-face instruction to be vaccinated as part of the infection prevention and control measures. So, Madam Speaker, approximately 7,500 teachers have already been vaccinated. It's a fairly decent number, still not high enough to give us the satisfaction we would need, but we do have a critical core that could carry the revision classes and the face-to-face classes that we need. We want to emphasize that the COVID-19 infection prevention and control protocols will be firmly established and enforced in the schools, and we are expecting that there will be strict adherence to these rules within the schools. Provisions have been made through the regional offices for disbursements of grants for basic equipment and material needed for sanitization purposes. And this would include, Madam Speaker, the procurement and provision of masks for students who don't have. The dates for exit exams are approaching, and our students and teachers continue to face significant challenges with preparations. The pandemic has really presented a major challenge for them, and I want them to know that we understand what is happening. We will try to support as much as possible, and as soon as we can allow our children to go back to school, we will. The only way that this is going to happen, however, Madam Speaker, is if we get our population vaccinated.
In other news tonight, United Way of Jamaica, UWJ, along with representatives from the Jamaica Bankers Association, handed over 4.5 million Jamaican dollars for the purchase of 4 high-flow nasal devices and the accessories used in the treatment of COVID-19 patients in critical need of oxygen. The handing over of the check took place at the Ministry of Health and Wellness yesterday. Now, State Minister in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn, lauded the group for the donation and expressed thanks and appreciation to both the Jamaica Bankers Association and the United Way Jamaica for their very generous donation in support of the nation's fight against COVID-19, especially during this very challenging period. Mr. Jerome Smalling, president of the Jamaica Bankers Association, stated that during a meeting of the JBA, the decision was taken that they needed to give much-needed support to the health sector to ease the pressure that now exists due to the fight against COVID-19, noting that the challenge was given, and as an organization, they stepped up. Chair of the United Way of Jamaica and Vice President for the Jamaica Bankers Association, Charvel Johnson Cunningham, commended the Ministry of Health and Wellness for their resilience and the service being provided to the nation during this critical time. As we continue with the news tonight, a pastor from St. Anne who appeared in the St. Anne Parish Court yesterday pleaded guilty to breaches of the Disaster Risk Management Act and was fined a total of $300,000. The accused pastor, Christine McLean, who preaches at the City of Refuge End Time Prophetic Ministries Church in the parish, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of breaches of the Disaster Risk Management Act and was fined a total of $150,000 on each count. She was also fined $1,500 for disorderly conduct, to which she also pleaded guilty. 2 other church deacons, Philippa Gordon and Winston McCoy, who were arrested along with the pastor, also pleaded guilty when they appeared in court and were also fined a total of $300,000 each. Now, the 3 accused were given a 3-month period to pay the fine to the court or to serve a period of 6 months in prison. Reports coming into our news center are that on March 3, the police acted upon information received and went to the church where over 50 persons were in attendance. Still making Mello TV news, a taxi operator is now dead and several other persons, including students who attend Clarendon College, were admitted to hospital with injuries following their involvement in a 3-vehicle collision. The accident occurred along the Chapelton Main Road in Four Paths, Clarendon yesterday afternoon. 37-year-old taxi operator Renford Mowen of Ballards River in Clarendon, who plied the Maypen to Chapelton route, was thrown from his vehicle into a culvert yesterday afternoon. He reportedly succumbed to his injuries moments later. The crash occurred at approximately 3:30 p.m. Now the incident, which involved a Toyota Coaster school bus from Clarendon College, a Hiace minibus and a Probox motor vehicle, also resulted in at least 5 other injured persons being taken to the hospital. This reportedly included the driver of the school bus, 56-year-old Keith Dunkley of Woodhall District in Clarendon, at least 3 students from Clarendon College, and the minibus driver, Ferris Thompson of a Kingston address. The 3 drivers reportedly received the most serious injuries, with Moen dying and Dunkley and Thompson being admitted to the hospital for treatment. Still tonight, People's National Party PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell is taking issue with plans by Labour and Social Security Minister Karl Samuda to change the procedures that guide the government's overseas employment program. In a statement, Campbell argued that he fears that the proposed overhaul is a partisan attempt to overlook the applicants submitted by former PNP members of Parliament. While making his contribution to the sectoral debate in Parliament last week, Samuda asserted that something is not right with the program and that his ministry will be pursuing an overhaul. He cited that fewer than 10% of the cohort enrolled in the program were new participants. But Dr. Campbell says he is concerned, adding that, quote, "This move seems nothing more than a thinly veiled partisan purge of the waiting pool of qualified applicant workers recommended years ago by former PNP MPs will be replaced with applicants recommended by current Jamaica Labour Party MPs," end quote. Dr. Campbell argued that the proposal to allegedly exclude councillors from the process is intended to further bias the applicant selection process and that the government must not deny the opportunity to those persons whose applications were successfully processed and who have been patiently awaiting the opportunity to be called for overseas employment. He says he is concerned that the Farm Work Program, which is a long-standing government-to-government arrangement, is being co-opted for purely partisan purposes. Dr. Campbell expressed that the selection system has worked successfully for decades and the government should avoid any inclination to destroy the integrity of the system. As we continue with the news tonight, the Hanover Municipal Corporation yesterday demolished what they say are illegally constructed buildings in the car park. Compliance and Enforcement Manager at the corporation, Craig Oates, in speaking on the matter, explained that these structures that were demolished were illegally built and had illegal electrical connections.
We have had reports coming into us, and in our regular patrols, we observed that places or houses were being built, or buildings were built without the council's approval. There is an approval process from the council in which you apply to the CEO, and it matter goes before the commercial services, and it is approved or not approved. In the meantime, when it is approved, then the Road and Works Department will meet with you and give you the stipulations as to how you are to build or how you are not to build. The thing is, some persons come and they build without the proper authorization. And when that is done, it is not safe. You got persons connecting illegal electricity, illegal water, and we also have persons who are using the seaside area here as their toilet facilities. And the council cannot sit back and allow that to happen. So the council had to step in and take the necessary action, because the truth of the matter is this Lucy Harbour is a natural harbour and we cannot allow it to be sewage contaminated, right? So hence our drive to rid the municipal transport centre of all the illegal construction. And if you look at the right there, there was a construction that took place with it was fully constructed of building blocks all the way up to the belting. And we do not allow concrete structure to be constructed because that is a permanent structure and is a government property. So hence the building was demolished and the owner is now in the process of talking to the municipal corporation.
Mr. Oates said that no notice is required to be given to persons due to their illegal occupancy.
This is a government property. We do not need to give any notice at all to them because the buildings were illegally constructed. It is unsafe for the persons who use the park because you have illegal electricity inside there, right? As a matter of fact, one of the occupants of the building, that building there, I myself showed him a photograph of somebody who lives in the building with him who was defecating in the sea right there. We cannot allow the municipal park transport center to be an area where persons can just come and just defecate and just do whatever they want to do. What I can tell you that is that any transport center in any part of the world has to be properly developed and it cannot be run just in any hog-pog manner. It has to be proper, right? So, I mean, everybody knows that there's a little hustling here and there that people does, but hustling has to be orderly, hustling has to be timely, and hustling has to be hygienic. You cannot have persons defecating anywhere. You cannot have persons just connecting illegal current. When we came here this morning, there was live wire in buildings here that was illegal. Anybody could have been killed.
Now, one vendor, Mark Johnson, says that he needed time to evacuate the space.
When the business place built up, no one never really come and say Ray until yesterday. And I have a lot of fish in there, and I told him that just give me a little more days. That's if anything to happen, everything will be okay. But I never know because you see a lot of place building up around here. I thought when they come to me and talk to me, I would go through the right process. I didn't know that it would go like this. I didn't really know. I have a document from yesterday. I gave it 1 day, and I have a lot of fish and a lot of things. It couldn't happen for 1 day.
You just get 1 day to
1 day. Here's the documents. From the 3rd, see it there? To the 5th, you see it? 2021. See them put it here. For the 4th, that's today. They might come destroy place and then do it without. I wasn't even here. I wasn't even here. It's somebody come and call me. All I want is just a little place to do my business. And if it come to the test for me to pay, I will pay.
All right, that's
no problem. I will pay.
We will bring you more on this story in subsequent newscasts. And those are some of the stories making news. We will return with other stories as in their continued efforts to assist students with online learning, the Rotary Club of Montego Bay presented high-quality tablets to needy students earlier today, and Managing Director of the SCJ Holdings Limited, SCJH, Joseph Shakir, says that preparations for Phase 2 of the relocation of Red Hills residents is almost complete. But first, we'll take a break and then join Christopher Scott with the very latest in sports.